Welcome to episode 143 of the Postmodern Polymath Podcast. I am Chris. That is Zach. The cat's right here next to me. That's a belch. Zach, what you got drinking on?
Well, I was saying, man, when I used to rewatch videos, I would just be constantly drinking because I ask questions, the other person talks, I can drink. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but then tonight I'm like, well, it's too late anyway, so I have to open. This is Sometimes Goat to me. Move that over so you can see it. Doppelbock. So this is Birds Fly South, which I think is out of Birmingham. Oh, Greenville, South Carolina. Maybe you were there. And this is a 9.2% Doppelbock. This is boozy. I'm gonna have, why we don't have taste buds anymore, So let's see. It's actually a little lighter than my usual shade. So
I got peanut butter stout because I wasn't paying $26 for Fudge Mackinac. They don't sell singles.
And then the Hammer Gavel Slammer 17% Monumental Dark Ale. I think this is the highest alcohol of a hopping frog because I've gotten a few.
They celebrated some new law in Pennsylvania with that.
And I'm using my Strong Beer Festival mini glass. So we found a wine my wife likes. She had the stomach surgery, so she really doesn't have much room for anything. So if I pour a glass of wine, it's like maybe half a glass and she's done. So these little mini taster glasses that were really popular if you did like a beer tasting, back when people used to get together and do stuff, good times. So let's try this one. I mean, I bought this 4-pack 6 months ago. It's definitely malty, so that's good. I mean, I really bought it. Well, like we were saying, we're very big stout people. But every once in a while, it's probably a good idea to try something different. So I just saw that this had goats in the title. And, yeah. And then this one here, because I was just in Nashville last weekend, as you know.
I do.
And the thing I like to do when I go to Nashville is get beers I can't get in Georgia, and for the most part, those tend to be the beers that have more than 15% alcohol, because actually 14. The limit's 14 here. But they end up just tasting mostly like booze, and this is not that different.
Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't. Really
It's like if you lined all of them up, and I assume somebody is gonna make like a down the road, because it was like, it used to be 12-ounce cans, and then they decided, if I can do a 4-pack 16-ounce, that's actually cheaper, so that became kind of the standard. And then I feel like Hopping Frog is the first one I've seen that does 8-ounce 4-packs, except these are so boozy that you really don't want more than this, so it actually works out perfectly.
Yeah, you don't want that, trust me.
So I assume someone's gonna make that the Sam Adams Utopia, like the ones that come in like the brandy bottles, and maybe in 2-ounce cans or 4-ounce cans, and then they're gonna be like $10 or $20, so you can at least try it. But anyway, yeah. So Nashville weekend in a nutshell. So I go up to Nashville. I usually stop at bottle shops on the way. I might meet someone like Chris for lunch. I might get hot chicken, get a lot of beer, maybe go to a football game, hang out with my parents. That's really the whole scope of things.
Well, let's see. What did you bring me this time?
Got the barrel-aged Oktoberfest from Founders.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Shocking
I guess I should mention
that beer is not for sale in Tennessee for some reason.
Yeah, that's distributors. I should mention that I'm doing 2 beers at once. That is my new goal. Had an incident capitalize the incident. I'm not going to talk about it, so don't ask. All I'm going to say, take a look at my drinking habit. And I said, well, let me slow this shit down a little bit. So I try to stick to 2 beers at once. Little flexible. These are pretty. These are only 5.5, but I'm not averse to drinking like 12%.
So you got 2 of the same? Is that what you got?
I had to. This fucking place only sells singles. So if I want anything, I gotta go there. I gotta drive down to Craft Brew.
Yeah, so we met at Brewer House South, which has a pretty good beer selection. And then right next to that is the Cool Springs bottle shop. And one thing I like about that place is every beer they have, they sell as singles. It seems like of all the places to go to in Georgia, or Atlanta, there's like 2 I know of that do singles. Or if they do singles, it's like a limited selection. You know, every time we go to Main Street, it's like, you mean every beer you can buy as a single? Yeah, sure. And it's like, okay, great.
Yeah, I grabbed shit out of the box. One time I went and they said I couldn't. And he's like, no, man, don't listen to him. What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, and then we got to... Go ahead.
Hopefully they don't... You said the check, because like a place like Total Wine, they do usually have them buy, but sometimes when they scan 1, it does the 4-pack price or 6-pack, so you just got to, keep an eye. Just make sure.
Well, yeah. We did go back. We did get to go back. I don't know if we mentioned this. Well, shit, we hadn't been on here. How long? We got to see the back room of Main Street where the brew guy was there. The beer guy.
Yeah, Aaron at Main Street. Yeah, because I left Nashville on Monday, I really thought, like, well, maybe I'll stop by Main Street, but it's the opposite way of me going home. So I was like, and I had already bought beer, and I was kind of hungover anyway, and I was like, you know what, I'm good. But yeah, that back room is, it's, since we're both atheists, it's, rare that we hear the angels cry and sing, but they do when you go to the back room of Main Street liquor store.
Angels...
Because it's like...
It was angels, but it was angels.
It's just an entire like warehouse with a bunch of shelves, and then there's like 5 shelves that have every single limited stout or high gravity beer that you've probably heard of in the past 5 years. And the crazy part was Aaron was like, yeah, there's only a few that he was like, I can't sell because it's super limited. Like there were things that, like the Stranger Danger, the peanut butter chocolate we've both had, they had probably a case of that. And I have gone, like, when I went to Florida, I got some, like, singles, and every one I had was kind of meh. But the ones there, they were all good. I had that Black Bell coconut. That was good. The regular Black Bell was good. There was that Death Star
I had
bourbon barrel stout. And then they had one that was cherry. And I opened that 12% sucker sitting tailgating for a Titans game, which was a preseason game, and it was like 95 degrees outside. And I'm like, I'm having a freaking stout. So yeah, very tasty.
There's water in it.
I mean, the only downside is like just about all of those singles are like in the 8 to 10 range, and a Stranger Danger is bigger, so it's like 15. So it's like, yeah, you can't get a bunch of that.
Yeah, I get it.
You can.
I got Stranger Danger, and I think, it was a Fudge Mackinac last year's, and now they come out with this year's Mackinac, motherfuckers.
Yeah, you should have both. Yeah, I got the Fudge Mackinac. I keep getting that the brewery, so you think it's Tuesday. It's like the 16-ounce can, and it's like $12, and I don't know if it's probably not worth that much, but it's still pretty good. I just I don't know, I get the stouts and I get like the Navel Gazer which has the too bitter or almost tastes too much like licorice.
It is.
And I get that in a lot of stouts. So if it's smooth, I am, set. Wait, actually, I'm going to show a beer I had. If I can share, let's find out.
You should be able to.
It is easier because you're pretty. Oh no.
I gotta let it in. You were. There you go.
So there's a place just west of Chattanooga called, I think, Riverside. And that's where I go on the Chattanooga side because they have Tennessee beer. And I got this Hammer of the Shallow End, which is, I don't know what exactly an American Imperial Stout is versus other kinds, you know, like why it's called American. I mean, obviously it's made in America, but it's...
Ow!
He just got bit. But it's, stout with rum, basically a rum barrel stout, so it's not bourbon. And I've had some rum stouts that have not gone well. This worked out well. The only downside to this is it's a 19.2%, 19.2 ounce can.
Which is weird. Kind of fucking...
It's like an old school thing, like when we had... I think I had the barrel aged Old Raspy, the one that I got in the can that we had at the Nashville Nuns.
I've seen
it. Came in that, it was called a Stovepipe King because it was so tall. It's basically like take this, goat beer and then add 3 more ounces to it. So yeah, that 10% beer is pretty strong, but the good news is the stout was not too overbearing. I liked it. And then this is the one that I think we've both had.
I gave you that one. I had it in my fridge.
They had like 3 or 4 Three Floyds, and I've seen Three Floyds in Georgia, but it's just like the, people are like, oh, the zombie dust IPA, oh, it's magical. It's a fucking IPA, so it sucks by definition. And this is 15.6, so you can't, you won't be able to get this in Georgia anyway. But this is a maple syrup and toasted coconut beer, and it's mostly, I would say, more coconut than maple. And it's very boozy.
It's booze with some coconut.
Yeah.
It's really strong.
And it's got crazy. What was cool is when I looked on this, they have all the, they have, Christian's gonna knock your socks off. They have seasonal barrel-aged stouts, and they're not, IPAs. Let me click on this one. This is not one that was available, but will be. Crushing Mass barrel-aged coffee stout, baby. So
they had a stout that I had, and I forget. It was so coffee.
I don't remember seeing this one. I feel like this Blot Out the Sun was one I got at Main Street, and it was
coffee.
Liquor flavor, licorice, just not brown sugar or brown sugar,
I remember that.
Even 2 sips in, I can remember. And then let me click on the link here. Don't look at my internet history. Very important.
Oh, yeah.
I hadn't seen this before, and I thought, I'm probably not gonna like this because it's like it's like a craft brewery that's giant. They've probably sold out. I don't know. Half of them have at this point. But I've had like their, the Dead Guy Ale back when I, would drink anything. And this is the slim 12-ounce can, and I had one, and I was actually, what? It's very neutral flavored, so I enjoyed, that. I enjoyed
anything
my
I've had from them
presentation.
Stout-wise is uninspiring to me.
Well, talking about not as inspiring as you'd like, I thought I'd throw out some sci-fi topics to discuss. We talked about doing this a while back, and then I think you weren't able to do it when we were going to get together to talk about the latest season of For All Mankind. I would say spoiler alert, but
No, you don't get one. There's a certain grace period, and nobody watches.
Listen, this is 2022.
Yeah.
You should have 12 streaming services and somehow be able to put in like 20 hours a day of that, so you can speak about every show that has come out. So the basic outline of For All Mankind is the alternate history. Like when I first heard of Apple TV Plus, I was like, what the fuck are they doing? And then I was like, wait, there's this show where the Russians land on the moon first, and that changes our history. And so the last season of that just came out, season 3. Because season 1 We go to the moon after the Russians do, and then we have to get women involved because the Russians land a woman on the moon. I mean, the Russians did put a woman in space first, and we didn't seem to do anything about it until the 80s, so, how realistic that is,
We don't give a shit.
There are times when it is. They're trying to create... It's like an alternate history, but it has a lot of, echoes and ripples. But season 2, they moved to the 80s, and they're building a base on the moon, with the Russians, and we have a big showdown at the end, and the finish is really good because Reagan's our president during a space war, basically. But the best part of season 2 was that it ended with a Nirvana song playing as they did a great shot of, showed the Earth, and then it showed the moon, and then it showed the Mars. I'm just going to keep calling it the Mars. I'm surprised Elon Musk doesn't do that. And it shows boots landing on Mars, and the thing that makes fans go nuts is you spend the entire, year between seasons, I think it was more than a year, wondering who landed first. And one thing the show did that was cool and maybe uncool in a way when you get to the spoiler part is you think, well, clearly it's the U.S. and the Soviet Union in a race. But in this season we have the Soviet Union, the U.S., and a space company a la SpaceX called Helios, and the three of them are battling to go to Mars. And they, go back and forth, and then it's like the U.S. and Soviet have to combine forces, and they battle over who gets the first step.
Yeah, that was funny. They were fighting, and when they came down at the foot of the stairs, it looked like they were holding hands. Oh, look, it's all togetherness. But they were fighting each other as they came down the stairs.
And then one thing that they do in the show that I like is they do these little kind of montages at the beginning of the season to catch you up, because each season is a different decade. So it's 10 years between the seasons about. So you find out what happens, and it's some things that are familiar, and it's some things that are different. Between season 1 and 2, somehow John Lennon doesn't get killed, and the Pope does get killed, and the Egyptian leader who got killed didn't get killed, and the Israel-Egypt thing didn't happen, and, most of the stuff that they do, it's just them having fun, because it has nothing to do with the plot of the show at all. It's just different.
Yeah, I like that part.
They didn't do as much of that in the last season, but at the beginning of the season, they showed that the North Korean country, instead of doing nuclear weapons, they were doing space exploration. And early in the season, they sent a probe to Mars, and they also sent a ship into space that blew up and then caused the space hotel to, have that space disaster in the first episode. And then once we race to Mars, after they've been on Mars for a while, they see that the North Korean ship has landed, and they're like, well, we need that because there's some kind of Russian thing for power purposes I think they need. I can't remember. It's like a MacGuffin kind of thing. But they end up going to the ship, and of course, a North Korean astronaut pops out, and it turns out he was the first person on Mars. And you're like, you know what? Okay, good twist, but also, huh? That was a lot of what happened this season on the show.
Yeah,
it was okay, so the problem the show has is, it created the initial season with the initial group of characters, and over time those characters have been dying off. And the whole point of the show is that they said they're planning 7 seasons. And eventually they have to die, right?
You think?
And what happens when people die? Younger people take over. They really haven't done that yet. All they've had are kids of the first couple who ended up dying, and they're annoying, and we want them to die. And then it's the adopted daughter of the Ed Baldwin, the main dude on the show. But it's well, who is going to take over that we're going to and follow through, the next few seasons of the show? And they tried to make it seem they're going to stop the space program, but it's well, they can't. There'd be no show, right? It's kind of the main character in Deadpool can't die because there are going to be more Deadpool movies, right? And like Marvel movies, that kind of stuff. But I liked the show. Sometimes I wish shows about space didn't have, like soap opera-ish kind of things. Like, it's like there's a lot of interesting things to see on Mars. I mean, they were talking about like life on Mars, and then that just got thrown aside. It was like they had a plot thread going with that, and they're like, nah. I mean, the daughter was like in Antarctica discovering the kind of life forms that land on meteorites that maybe came from Mars. And then she made a stink when they were getting water, and that just got totally dropped.
It's not hard sci-fi. It's not. I mean, like,
it's intriguing. I mean, they do have a former or current astronaut who actually is helping out in the show, and so they try. I mean, the things they do are things that were proposed. I mean, that's what some of the best like old history you see. They had that Sea Dragon, the big ship that came out of the ocean. Like, that was something that was proposed and never came to light because we just said, fuck it, we quit. And if you think the whole concept, like, the whole thing about space that is annoying is, like, when we went to the moon, why did we just stop? And it's like, it's like the similar idea behind we passed, voting rights for people. Now racism is over, so we can just quit. And that's why history repeats itself often, and we sometimes move forward and then have to move back. And it's like, the Artemis is supposed to be taking off now, and that's actually going to be going to the moon for like the first time since like 1972, and it keeps getting delayed, in part because we just had a hurricane hit Florida, or still hitting Florida. But I don't know, I've been talking too much. What do you think, man? Tell me you're thinking.
What's that hurricane? Isn't it hurricane season? Why would you plan a liftoff during hurricane season? I mean,
that's a good question. Like, we always think like we try to go to the beach once or twice a year. We go to the Gulf Coast, and one year we went like the second week of. Go right after Labor Day. There's like nobody there, but a hurricane hit literally the day before we showed up. It was like 2011, and it was amazing how it just like totally wiped a lot of stuff out. And my wife and I joke about like, we're gonna move to the beach, but we want to live like a mile away from the beach because I feel like in 20 years I might be the beach. So plan ahead, people.
Since we were together, which has been a while, I feel I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my boy, R.M. Brown.
Oh gosh. You two need to get a room.
Yeah.
You should have him on your show.
Shut up. I'm trying.
I guarantee he won't blabber on about For All Mankind for 20 minutes.
That's fine.
Well, I wonder what the thing about, R.M. Brown shows is obviously they have to be very scripted. So what would he be like? But I don't know. Maybe it's like the live streams he does, which are like 3 hours.
Yeah, I don't know.
Although I tried to watch one and I just was like, eh.
Yeah, that doesn't do anything for me. But he of course there's a bigger trend of me getting into Brit left tube, whatever. There's a couple other lefties I listen to, but R.M. Brown's more kind of he's lefty, but he's like a comedian type. He's like an absurdist comedian, I guess you could say. And he's kind of down.
He makes fun of the right wing, but he's not. One thing I like about it is he does make fun of the right wing because it's impossible not to. But he also does some homework. Like if Ben Shapiro claims that all the people who are sent by DeSantis to Martha's Vineyard are illegal aliens, he's like, these people are from Venezuela, and that's actually like a protected country that we're supposed to be like, hey, escape communism, come to America. Oh, we're just going to have our governor send you to Florida and then to Martha's Vineyard. Which that part is definitely illegal, but there are no consequences and no rules anymore, so.
Nothing's gonna happen to his ass. He knows it. That's why he did it. Anyway, so yeah, R.M. Brown I watched for a while, and okay, his big thing is a couple. First at the soundboard, he has a soundboard, and he plays like sound effects, well, whatever, voice, little clips.
C.K. Louis.
The comedian, C.K. Louis, the comedian. Just random shit, and one of the big ones is the Yoko Ono laughing one. I can't even do it. I'm going to even try to do it.
I know, we should just, go, make pee-pee.
Make pee-pee in Uber cars.
Uber cars. That's weird.
Weird.
It's gonna make me sound awful, but I did used to listen to Adam Carolla, and he had a guy who did sound drops, and he would just throw them in there. And that's like a staple of radio, like especially like sports radio, make fart noises or something. And you just have like 50. He has a little keyboard and he just and he probably reprograms it for the latest R. And it's a little There's actually like a Reddit link that I sent to you, and it actually shows where he got a lot of them. Like you can actually here's the YouTube video where the guy says make pee-pee.
Somebody fucking went to a lot of trouble for that.
I mean, yeah, it's
but that's how it goes.
You have to. I feel like didn't David Small used to do that, or maybe not back.
Oh yeah, I'll do it to some extent.
But he would only do his own stuff.
But anyway, so he takes these samples. He does research. But he's got a couple of regulars. Ben Shapiro is his biggest punch-up bag, I think. Ben Shapiro. One of his shticks is always saying the name incorrectly.
I love that.
He just like Jordan Peterstone or just some random shit like that. Just random like Ben Shapiro. What's his name? It's Ben Shapiro.
Tuck Carlton.
Carlton, yeah. That's another one. So he just makes fun of right-wing talking head types mostly. Every once in a while he'll delve into something else, but mostly it's...
Yeah, his top... Somebody had... I just looked it up on like Google's like top R.M. Brown audio drops, and these are probably a little old. It's like toilets. He's got Donald Trump saying flushing toilet. Because they had this thing that Trump did where he was like, the low flow toilets. He's like, but you can't flush anything. And then here's the guy who tried to flush secrets down a toilet. This is problems I have a lot of something with. I don't even remember what that one was from. God. Bad Barbie. These are nasty thoughts.
I remember that one. Bad Barbie. Bad Barbie.
And then Adam Carolla, I don't want kids teaching my cowards. Everyone's scared. But he probably doesn't do that anymore because he had a video where he made fun of Adam Carolla, and like Adam Carolla fans got it taken down. Almost had his channel destroyed.
I remember that. That was a dark time.
And the Ben Shapiro, no. You got a mental health problem.
Yeah,
Fetch the bolt cutters.
Fetch the bolt cutters.
The muscular class.
That's a good, and I just heard that on his, I shouldn't say his Patreon episode. I'll just say
he covered people.
Chuck Kirk.
How much
That's another
R.M. Brown do you need, man? He does like 3 shows a week, I think. How much Patreon does he do?
2 shows, extra shows, and he does Book of Blega sometimes, which he talks about a book he read, which I don't give a shit about that. What's that sound?
Neighbor's car alarm is going off. Good timing, huh?
Yeah. So that's our official sound effect now, since we got that going.
Wait, I was gonna hit.
I need to get a soundboard.
And it's over. Yeah, I know. I was like, it can't be too hard to do because we record audio all the time.
You get virtual.
You can do it in Audacity. So you just find something you like the sound clip for and
program it.
Copy it. Yeah.
There's virtual soundboards you can use. Basically, it's like a little graphic, and you hit the just the same thing. Instead of just a separate thing like he's got. I don't know what that is.
I just wonder. I feel like he does have a day job, but does he?
Well, he said he'd work on editing before, but I don't know what it is. Video editing and shit like that. I know he's a comedian besides this, but he's Brown RM, the comedian.
Arun Brown. See.
Yeah, so you just go into this endless fucking loop of fucking saying fucking RM Brown shit.
Yeah, it allows us to not actually have to communicate. We just send sound drop words to each other, and that's all.
That's what it's come to. I can't, man. It's overload for me, man. It's just too much shit going on. Too much.
I had Reggie. We talked about him, and he actually called me because he's. He lived in Miami, and he was a big fan of the football team, and they won the game, and he was so excited. He actually called and left a message. And I was like, I didn't even see my phone ring. I saw like the voicemail 2 days later. Like, unless I know somebody's about to call me, I just don't.
Yeah, I don't answer the phone.
I do talk to my parents on the phone, but I don't really.
My mom.
And now everybody expects you to do like FaceTime, and I'm not even used to like. Because at work, people put their video cameras on, and I'm like, I haven't even combed my hair.
There is not a universe where I answer that, ever. I hardly even answer my own people I know.
Because I'm like, you have to make eye contact with people, like, for a long time.
Well, what's the point? I hate talking on the phone.
You hate talking. That's why you do
everyone's
podcast stuff.
Although I will say it is episode 143, which is not anything special. It's just the fact
I believe I saw this.
Episodes.
It's like National Beer Day or something, but there's so many.
Is that today? No, I would have seen that. I thought.
Well, somebody retweeted something from like Budweiser, like it's National Beer Day, so it's like gross. It's National Drink Beer Day, whatever that means.
That's weak. That sounds like a knockoff. No, I'm not saying.
I mean, there's probably one day a month that's National Cat or National Dog Day, and then there's like one day every third month that's like National Beer Day.
I'm not doing shit until...
Because I posted something about how many National Beer Days, and then somebody actually on Twitter, the person out of nowhere who is the know-it-all, oh shit, it's the car again, was like, well, the actual National Beer Day is when the 29th Amendment was passed that, re-legalized alcohol sales. And I'm like, okay, that's a holiday.
That at least...
Speaking of which, I think I saw in Nevada, they tried to pass the Equal Rights Amendment in the 70s, and it technically expired, and then there was like the last state that needed to pass it
finally did
it, but because it was supposed to be done in 10 years, it didn't.
Well,
so there was like there's some legal case in Nevada that's going on. I'm like, well, even if there's a freaking amendment to the Constitution, our current Supreme Court's probably going to say, fuck that shit.
They can't. I mean, they're not. I mean, checks and balances, supposedly checks and balances. They have no power.
They've been writing like laws to get around that for 50 years. I mean, I'm sure, but it was interesting because that was like a plot thread in the For All Mankind, the Equal Rights Amendment passed, and in order for it to pass, the president, who by the way was Ted Kennedy, who got to be president because Chappaquiddick didn't happen because the U.S. had to have hearings after the Russians landed on the moon first, so Chappaquiddick didn't happen. He becomes president over Nixon, and then he kind of twists the arm of the Illinois legislature to get equal rights to pass, and then they build a part for the Saturn rocket, and then one of them blows up. So there you go. You pass equal rights, see what happens. I'm surprised this hasn't been on a Ben Shapiro video. See what happens when you give women rights? The spaceship blows up.
They don't watch shit like that. They don't watch good stuff.
They watch good stuff.
They make really bad
They don't have good stuff. Like, so because I have the religion of football, I need to get some kind of streaming service to watch live football in the fall. So I got the Hulu. The Hulu bundle just used to do the channels, and then they were like, well, you can also get the Hulu bundle, which includes Disney Plus. So I got Disney Plus, which I haven't had for like 2 years. Started rewatching The Mandalorian, and on episode 4, who shows up? Come on.
Gina! Yay!
Gina Carano, the ex-wrestler, I think. I didn't know who she was. But she showed up on the show, did a few episodes. They were going to give her character a spin-off. And then she started talking on Twitter like a more out-of-control Kevin Sorbo.
She was drinking.
And Disney was like, all right, you're out of here.
She had to be drinking.
The funny thing is, like, there's this current, backlash against Disney because they actually sometimes pretend to care about gay people. Another movie on Disney I watched, I loved as a kid, The Black Hole. That movie came out in 1979, and it was the first PG movie that Disney ever did. And people were pissed because they did a PG movie. Like, they were maybe as pissed as they were today. They didn't have the right-wing craziosphere. But they said, and I think they edited it, because the only thing that really, there is like a scene where a guy gets chopped up by a robot, but you don't really get to see it. But they say hell and damn a couple of times. And I think that actually got edited out. Apparently, because Disney had, I think Touchstone was their, and Splash was one of their first movies. And there's a scene where Daryl Hannah runs away and you can see her butt, and they actually pixelated it out. What would our society be without the weird puritanical streak?
We're doomed. We were doomed from the start, man. What's, puritanical, first religious people are the first ones. The people who fought to start the country were rich white guys, slave-owning white guys. So that off the top, you got slavery, you got fucking Puritan. What else? What could go wrong? What possibly could go wrong?
Yeah. Bring us back to that stuff, huh?
You started it.
I don't know. I when the last time I had Disney Plus was when we had, it was like our phone carrier gave it to us for free. And then immediately, like 2 weeks later, we switched because we got new phones. So I only got to see like the first half of the first season of The Mandalorian. At the time, that was the only TV show they had. So I was like, I'm not really missing anything with Disney Plus. And now they got like 50 shows. They have at least 10 Marvel shows, if not more. And they probably have 5 Disney shows on there. And they have a bunch of movies and, a bunch of old stuff. They don't have the original Song of the South. That would be pretty awesome. They kind of ignore their own history. If you look into American history, you don't have to look too hard to go, what the fuck are we thinking? This is the version of America we want to protect. Where we're just openly racist. Which I'm surprised that often that Republican senators are actually ever embarrassed by anything they say, because there's no consequence. You just get to say whatever you want. You get to do whatever you want. It's a good time.
No, it's totally fun though.
And the elections are coming up.
Oh man.
And they're saying if we get 2 more senators in there for the Democrats, they'll start passing stuff. But I seem to remember when
filibuster.
My state of Georgia, they had 2 Democratic senators running, and they were like, if once we win, we will pass our agenda. They won, and then they got to pass part of their agenda, which was pre-watered down and then compromised within an inch of their lives. And now the new climate change bill that I think they passed was giving Joe Manchin a gold-plated
cocksucker.
pipeline with his name on it, and he got to like run it with like the blood of the poor people in his state that voted for him. Like, they basically, he was like, oh, cool.
He's like he's a low tier supervillain, like oil man, greedy oil man, or he's like a big Derek, or I don't know. No, it's not oil, it's coal for him. That's what it is. So he like is a big coal nugget, and anything he touches turns to fossil fuels. I don't know, something like the Midas touch, except with fossil fuels. I'm going on a bit of a tangent. So.
I guess they said it's like somehow if they're 52 Democrats, they can get past the. I forgot. I thought the filibuster was 60, but
it is.
They can make exceptions, but usually the only time they make an exception is when they have like a Supreme Court right wing person is getting pushed through. Then there was one time they like tricked the Republicans and somehow got something passed, and then Mitch McConnell instantly like killed like 50 babies in his state, and I mean, it's like there's an instant trigger. Oh, 50 dead babies, cool. I don't even know what to say, because I mean, I'm in the state of Georgia, and we have Warnock, who barely won. I get them mixed up, because like one seat had Purdue and one had Kelly Loeffler, and they were both just horrible human beings. Super rich people had no reason to run for office except to make more money. And he won with like 50.2% of the vote, and now he's running against former Heisman Trophy winner and current CTE sufferer Herschel Walker, who can't complete a sentence and has threatened women, which actually helps, I think.
They don't care about
and he
that.
It's like he has the talking points, but he can't remember them.
They're using this poor guy.
I mean, every time Joe Biden slips up, it's like the worst thing that ever happened in the world. But every time a Republican can't complete a sentence, like Trump in that Hannity interview, is like, man, that guy's like David. He's like a biblical hero. I see why they... Now that you know a little bit about biblical history, you're like, oh, I see why they compare him to biblical characters, because they're all pretty much terrible despots who murdered a bunch of people, and God was like,
that's what
thumbs up.
That shit.
I like it.
Shit. They love that shit. Whoever the messenger is, it doesn't matter. Because in the end, he's serving God. That's their purpose or whatever. That's their whole thing.
I guess there's a book somebody self-published about how Donald Trump was like the second coming or something.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
It's like, well, I get, you can say anything you want with theology, so go for it.
I could just write the most ridiculous. In fact, that would be neat. Okay. What you do is you just satire. So horribly Spinal Tap level satire. But these dumbasses don't know that. So they're buying it thinking it's actually real shit. Right?
I mean, you can make fun of it, but it's just so hard to do. It makes you kind of depressed. Like, I mean, there's like the satanic panic is back, except it's trans people. The Halloween candy scare. I mean, when you were a kid, didn't someone say to you, hey, someone put a razor blade in a candy so you can't take candy? And now it's rainbow fentanyl that they're giving to kids. It's like, how much does fentanyl cost? Like, candy's not cheap. I go to the grocery store. I know the score, but it's like,
just say rat
drugs
poison.
Are expensive. You don't give kids like edibles. Like an edible's like at least a couple of bucks. Like, you're not
rat
giving
poison. That's cheap.
Yeah,
Put some
exactly.
rat poison in the candy. Why the fuck would you go? What? No.
I wouldn't be surprised, like, if someone was found to be poisoning kids, it would be a conservative. I mean,
it's always the same thing with
when it comes to like voter fraud, it's always someone
fraud,
on the right.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And it doesn't get any, news.
It's like 5 people or some shit like that.
Exactly.
It's all bullshit. It's all fucking. They don't even have any fucking agenda, man. What was I watching? Oh, Sam Cedar, incidentally, in Majority Report.
Oh, really?
Y'all need to be checking that shit on out. But anyway, that's my main news thing. And he's like, the official Republican platform. The first two are stupid as shit. It's
like national abortion ban, take away Social Security.
No.
Take away your rights. That might be down the list, actually.
Policy. They're not actual policies. One of them's like stand and for the flag, or some wild
That's
shit.
Not actually American, you know.
I'm gonna find it, but it was wild.
I mean, the Pledge of Allegiance. There was some podcast I listened to that was like the history. Actually, I think Hemet Meta did one. It was like the history of the Pledge of Allegiance. And it was like 6 episodes, and it was like, it was like religious people decided to get started, and then religious people actually were the ones who protested it initially because, we have a history of, we have like the Quakers who wouldn't go to war, and religious people who are like against. They're actually on the right side of history. But yeah, and like in God We Trust, the whole In God We Trust thing, I saw that YouTube, or was it a Twitch? No, what the fuck is it? One of those dumb things. TikTok video. And it was a woman showing that in the state of Tennessee, they've changed their license plates. They're dark blue. They're the color of my walls, the color of the Tennessee Titans logo. I like the color. But one thing that I didn't know that she pointed out, and I pretty much confirmed being in Nashville for a weekend, was that it has numbers and then letters, or it has letters and then numbers. And you're like, well, is there some kind of pattern to that? Well, if they're numbers and then letters, you have In God We Trust written kind of small in the middle. If you have letters and then numbers, you don't. So that means law enforcement, it means the kind of kooks who think CRT is a thing can tell instantly whether you've picked the God side or not. And that's crazy, but it's the kind of thing that, like, I think 2% of people would even notice.
Yeah, nobody's fucking... For one thing, it's so small, you have to be... that's the point of the numbers.
I was like, I wonder which one my parents had, and they had the letters. I'm like, wow, they didn't pick the In God We Trust. Good work, parents. You have to, I think, choose to not have it. I think in Georgia, there's a sticker they put on that says In God We Trust, and I did not put the sticker on.
It wasn't like that. It's printed on the plate. And in Davidson County, they were just giving them whatever. They weren't giving them a choice. They were just handing out what was next. So there's no way to actually,
You're very animated, man.
I'm drinking.
It's that kind of...
2 beers!
5% beers, my goodness.
There's weed.
So what is that Delta 8 stuff?
That's all you get.
So wait, what did you... Because you got some kind of edible when we were at the bottle shop. Was that the same kind of Delta 8 that you're vaping right now?
Yeah, well, she said it was Delta 9. I'm not Delta 9.
There's a limit to what you can
real
get.
Weed. It's not legal.
Yeah.
It could be Delta 9 with like tiny percentage.
I was surprised they actually almost put a medical marijuana law. Like they actually put it up for a vote in Georgia, but it didn't happen. So I don't think it's gonna happen.
If Mississippi,
we don't even have like sports betting in Georgia. It's freaking like, what's the deal? This state, these people can be bought. Trust me. Like in Tennessee, every commercial is for fantasy sports or like gambling online.
And that was a big thing, a big no-no.
I mean, gambling ads are nonstop. I mean, it is fascinating to travel to a different state and just see what kind of YouTube videos you get because they're like targeted to where you are. And the ad was either like, DeSantis is the devil, or DeSantis is so amazing. He opened up our state and made sure more people died. Yay, what a great guy. I mean, next Friday we're flying to London, and we already have like the serious, whatever the doctors wear kind of masks. And they said in America, we're not going to continue the mask mandate because we can't enforce it. I'm like, You mean the same people who are like, you have a 3.6 ounce bottle of shampoo, we have to throw it away. You can't enforce masks. Okay. You mean you don't want to? Okay, I hear you. I'm with you. Biden's going to make sure we all die too, which is awesome. I can sometimes see why, the kind of extremists are like, it doesn't matter who we vote.
Well, I'm already like...
But we know what the Republicans are like, we're doing this stuff and it's going to happen if they win. The Democrats are like, we're going to do this, and then when we win, we might do like 58% of that. And we'll probably do stuff... Like, didn't Biden say like $15 minimum wage and...
Which isn't even 15.
It was like, I'm going to eliminate all student debt, and then he was like, $10,000, look how amazing I am. Give me credit.
What he said was, I don't know if I can do the whole thing. I don't know if I can do all of it. Well, you're backtracking already.
It's all about will, and the will is very weak all the time.
At least to these old...
I mean, it was sad to be, listen to a Hillary Clinton book. I know. But it was like, yeah, she was even talking about the crime bill that got passed. It was like, well, we tried to pass this law that helped people, but then we had to compromise. And it's like, yeah, every time you compromise, it turns to shit. So, you might as well just go all the way, especially if you have enough votes. But the will... Then it said, when it was 50-50, you're like, oh, cool, we're going to get all this stuff passed. But then it was like, oh, the people in the 50th and 49th votes sure have a lot of power now all of a sudden. And they sure got rich real quick. Manchin was already rich. Now Sinema is probably worth $100 million.
He drives a fucking Maserati.
Doesn't he live on some crazy houseboat, I think? It's worth a lot, I'm sure.
I bet RPG take that motherfucker. Just saying. All these rednecks. Go find an actual redneck, a left-wing redneck. From actual rednecks. Strikers.
On the drive back home, I saw one of those giant black, trucks that never gets used for anything trucks get used for. And it had one of those peeing Calvins. I feel so bad because the guy who did Calvin and Hobbes was like, I'm not going to merchandise this at all. I'm just going to sell my comics and leave it at that. But the peeing Calvin is on every truck. And and it was peeing on, it wasn't LGBT, it was LTGB, and then it was BLM. They were making fun of, well, they can't figure out what letters they use. And then it was like, that's good? Why? What are you in favor of?
You ask them, they don't fucking know. They just
I was
whatever somebody tells them.
Visiting, I went to a barbecue place on the way home, and there was a police officer eating, and another guy sitting by himself, and he was like, Did you hear that there was a shooting in a Russian school, and they just go into the schools and shoot people? And I was like, well, that does happen here a lot too. And then the waitress, who makes $2.13 an hour, as we know, she was like, I went to California, and those people, they're terrible. They don't take care of themselves. I like to live in the South where we take care of our own. And I was like, when? Okay, maybe you take care of your neighbor when they have something going on, but we do not.
Well, they're talking about poor people.
They're doing the otherism. If you are an other that we can't define, but we think we can, then you don't deserve rights. That's basically what was being said. Because we are the righteous people. And there's this crazy right-wing super Christian thing that Bannon and Roger Stone and the Flynns, they're all over this stuff, and it's got some momentum, so it's a little bit scary. I don't know if it'll catch on, but who knows? Marjorie Taylor Greene hired Milo Yiannopoulos, which is just huh? Okay.
But is it really surprising?
It's not surprising.
I've lost, I just have nothing surprises me. It's like, oh, it's another day. Italy just elected a fascist. So that's
Yeah, man, the stuff she was saying was something. It's a woman, though.
You see, and I bet you the first president of this country will be a woman.
She was doing some kind of
A
coded language, which was
Republican
basically
woman.
like the Jews saying basically a version of that. Didn't you guys learn from the time you had Mussolini in charge? Like, that didn't go too well, did it? You guys got basically decimated. Germany was like, yeah, you guys are on your own as soon as anything bad happened.
They had to take care of their own shit by that.
I mean, 'tis true. But in terms of, like, how are you doing in terms of the whole cat thing? Because you're just got 2, right?
Oh, yeah. Comrade Coconut's officially with somebody, another family. Which she was always supposed to be, but I never gave her up, and then I got all attached. But
Was there any reluctance on her part? Or was she like, cool?
no, I mean, she wanted to keep her for a while to see if she liked her. And then they decided they wanted to keep her. And they sent me pictures periodically.
Yeah, you should be like, anytime you're like, who's this? I don't know you. You break it, you buy it, you get the cat.
I don't know, you fucking
I know, cat person.
sharing the love, man. That's what comrades do. They share. They share in the love, baby.
I'm just lucky you just have 2, crazy cat dude.
Well, these two are bonded anyway, and because with her here, it kind of didn't. But now that she's gone, they started doing the sleeping right next to each other shit. You know how cats do, or grooming each other and shit like that.
I don't know, our cats are from the same litter, and when, like, during the first year they were just on top of each other, and now all they do is fight, and it's like they're 7 years old, and it's like eventually, like, when we go to town, they must be all over each other, right? And it's like, I don't know. It's strange. It's 2, like, single cats. Like, if we have 2 boxes for them, they're only going to want to like the one and fight over it. If they're 2 toys, they're going to fight over it. It's something. It's a very cat thing.
Territorial.
Maybe we just don't have a clear alpha, because it's like, it used to be like we had an older and a younger cat, and the older cat would beat up the younger cat when it was a kitten, and then when the younger cat got older, it would beat up the other cat because it was old. So someone was like the dominant, and then these 2, it's like one is beating the other one, and then it switches the next day. So they don't, do much of that.
Yeah, they don't ever fight. Cal-Cal's older by a while, so that's probably. She's known her since a kid. She was a kid. She's used to her.
So how was the Mackinac? Was it good?
Man, and Mackinac.
How about the Oktoberfest?
That was good. It was a good Marzen with a good little, little kick. I like
I
that
mean, it's
kick.
like 10%. The Dragon's Milk's like 12. So the comparison, it's not. But compared to, like, I think the first time I had it, I had the regular one, and then I had this, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's a difference.
Yeah, I like.
But it's not too
I'm
strong.
surprised. I'm actually surprised there aren't more people doing it, because everybody puts out that Oktoberfest beer.
I mean, I went to, the bottle shop we went to, they probably had like 30 different, Oktoberfest beers, so it was hard to pick one. Like, I got the Westberg one, and I had it, and I was like, yeah, it's good, okay. It's malty, it's a little bit light.
I was going to get some, but
As long as it's not too hoppy, I'm fine with it.
Like, I burn that on Mars.
It's a good seasonal beer,
Yeah, but it's just like everything else we do in this country. It's overdone. We have to fucking just.
It's overdone. I don't even know if they make as much of because the Sam Adams one used to be like everywhere. I don't think they make as much as they used to, but it's still
I've seen it.
a lot.
It's not bad.
And I mean, it comes out in July, and then it's in stores because they probably buy a certain amount, and it's like still in stores in November. So you get like almost half the year. It's not like the Dragon's Milk where they do the 4 different like reserves. And then after the 3 months is over, it's like they're gone. Good luck. But you don't see those because you're in Nashville. I don't know why they don't have it except in that one store. But now you know where to find it.
Yeah, it's wild. If I need it, which...
So wait, so you're keeping your excess like in your mom's fridge? Is that what's happening?
Oh, right now I have 3 beers in there. It's been sitting there since the weekend, the day before the incident, which was like a month ago. It's been a month by now, hasn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, this shit's been sitting there a month. It's the Stranger Danger. I want to say a hazelnut and that big bear, the one you got. What's it called? It's got a light brown can. It's big something. Big
fucking stout?
Yeah. That one.
They call it BFS, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and the Stroopwafel. There's one of those left. I forgot.
I think I still have one because it's so cinnamony. I mean, I'm like cinnamon. I taste the cinnamon beer. I'm like, Chris would like it. If I see a hazelnut beer, there was a place near me that had one of those brewing project 4-packs. It was like $10. Like, you should just get it because it's your style. So maybe next time. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'll come up. Uh-oh. You okay over there?
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Well, I mean, it's been an hour. It's probably been enough. Got any more, anything to cover?
No. Just, again, R.M. Brown. Go check him out. I like to plug him. He's supposed to come on my fucking show, but he keeps forgetting.
I think I saw it when you sent... Did you send him a tweet? Or you sent him a message, and he was like, oh, yeah, I remember. And then, nothing happened. I don't know. It's tough. The whole guest reach out. There are some people that you do have to, get in touch multiple times, and then they just forgot. And then there are people who just... You go, they're just not... It's not going to happen. It's not worth the effort. So, yeah. It's probably why I stopped doing the show, because I was like... I stopped trying to reach out to new people, and it was people I'd had before, and I'm like, it's diminishing returns, like having me on, right? So, but I like it. It's all, I don't need a green screen. I have the black screen. I have the
You look freaky. You look like a
dragons
dragon man and shit. Floating
Exactly.
head with a dragon and shit. It's crazy. All right.
Exactly.
He's not, I don't know if he'll ever come on, but
I'm just glad I didn't have to get a 4-pack of this, because
I wouldn't have done it. The same
honestly,
reason
I
wouldn't
don't
get the Utopia
really,
stuff.
I've had they had a brown ale. It was like a triple brown. I feel like it's pretty much the same because it's so, boozy. So it's a good thing it's a smaller thing. But I get a few more, in the fridge, so I'm ready. I got one more barrel-aged narwhal.
Oh, those, I got burned down. They're okay, but they're not.
I mean, I think I bought a 4-pack, and I hadn't had one in a month. I had it as I was walking into the Titans game, because, I had to walk with my actual beer around all the, seltzer drinking people. But yeah, I think I only got halfway through before I had to dump it before I got inside. I'm like, all right, that's enough. That's good. I mean, it's 16 ounces. That's a strong, it's a strong one.
Yes.
And it wasn't the last time I had it, I felt like, I was like, oh, it's too bitter, too whatever, but it was pretty good. So
It's okay, but anyway.
I know. So a barrel-aged stout that you can get. What do you have a favorite?
A barrel-aged stout that I can.
That's just
get?
just a barrel-aged stout. It's no adjunct, anything.
Barrel-aged.
I mean, they're seasonal. It's hard to find sometimes. So
I don't.
Actually, it's easier probably to find an adjunct than a non-adjunct.
What was it? Untitled Art, that hazelnut.
Oh no!
Remember that hazelnut? What was it?
God,
The barrel-aged version of that one, whatever Untitled Art did, was off the chain. And
That
you got
wasn't
mad. I
like,
was like,
okay.
drinking it. You motherfucker! Your favorite hazelnut.
It is crazy how many. I mean, that was the flavor du jour for a while. It was 6 months. Every adjunct barrel-aged stout I saw was hazelnut. I'm like, good God, people. I get it.
Again,
They must have fallen off a truck or something. I don't know.
We overdo everything.
I want the Neapolitan, that's all good. It tends to be chocolate or vanilla. There's a lot of that. But the vanilla can be, all the flavors can be, artificial.
Madagascar vanilla.
And if you say, like, it's chocolate, it's actually just bitter, and you're trying to pretend it's dark chocolate, and you're like, nah, that's not,
Yeah, don't try.
It's hard to do. It's probably best in moderation, everybody. Do all things in moderation, including podcasting.
Well, at least in this case. I can't speak for anybody else.
Or watching Disney shows.
Or riding in Uber cars. Just make sure you make pee-pee.
Make pee-pee in Uber cars.
Uber cars.
And go, oh, Yoko. He actually adds sound effects to it, and honestly, it's just fine as it is, because it's truly...
Yeah, he
like, she's done albums where that's
her
that's what she sounds like. It's not, you don't need to add anything to it. It's beautiful. It's just like your voice. It's a glorious thing. But, you bought me beer this week, so I appreciate that. And I think I bought you beer, too, so it's, we did it for each other.
If you say so. See, like I told you, just because I'm not drinking doesn't mean I'm not doing something.
Yeah,
That's what I'm an addict. So it's better to be addicted to one than the other.
One. Yeah, seriously, you could probably just, except for if you smoke, I don't know if vaping is bad term, bad for you.
Dude, I'm on the back end.
I think if you do like marijuana in some kind of edible form, I bet it probably doesn't affect you unless you have like 20 of them. So you're gonna be fine.
Oh, in that day, I tried eating too. It's just it doesn't do enough for me. I need real shit, but then you gotta be careful with that too. Don't fuck around. Take too much of that shit. You'll think
be careful. And after I come back from across the pond, I don't think I can bring any beer back. And who even knows what
beer
quality level they have, because they're like Guinness. I'm like, Guinness. Good God, that's just brown water.
It's roasted brown water.
They have. I guarantee. I mean, it's the biggest city in Europe. There's like 9 million people there. There's a couple places, I guarantee. So I'll find them.
Well, the journey is the fun part, or whatever. How's it going?
The flying is gonna suck. We're gonna be the only 2 people wearing masks for like 8 hours. Everybody else is gonna be like, "Why are you wearing masks?" Actually, I never had a. I definitely because I still go into grocery stores or like liquor stores wearing a mask, and I'm always like the one person there wearing it, and everybody's looking at me. But it's like I'm over. I mean, I've been doing that for 2 years, so it's no biggie. Even when it was 100% required, it was still like 50% maybe.
Yeah, it was never. What's the point?
Yeah.
I get my booster. So.
Yeah, we're boosted. Flu shot. We're all good. 5G and all that good stuff.
Let me calm down.
All right.
Okay, Zach. Everybody knows Zacrilege. Just look it up.
Yeah, go to Twitter. I don't do a podcast anymore. I haven't done my farewell show. I probably should. Last episode I did with you, I didn't actually even post it. It's on YouTube, but it's not. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, I was going to say, got you. It's on YouTube.
That's right.
Okay. All right, well, until we speak again, which probably won't be that long, I reckon. Oh, I have an ending, don't I? Until next time, y'all take it easy, okay?
Uber cars.